And hey son, today we go back to Germany, World War II, then combine it with Sweden, then take lots of black metal essence from the very foundation of, well, second wave black metal. Let's welcome Marduk with their latest album called Viktoria. So here it goes, the much anticipated album to come out of Braunschweig. Let's remove the advertisements and see what lies inside. Now, I've been listening to the album quite a few times already, and even before getting this CD to my hands, and what I can tell you is that very solid album. Let's make it clear, this is a good album. This is not Marduk going insane, not going weird. It's totally awesome Marduk, the way most people already know the band. Now, in many ways, Marduk has changed throughout the years, and in many ways it has also remained the same. This is very much going back to the 90s. For example, plain white here, very simple back cover, just black, red and white. Kind of style which is so common color combination in black metal, the very 90s vibe here. The cover is especially interesting because this doesn't celebrate with upside down or inverted crosses. There are no weird war symbolism, there are no pentagrams. Nothing actually indicates that this would be a black metal album. Could be as well just anything out of metal, but this kind of a serious face of soldier, which I guess reminds me of a German soldier, is something that is simply beautiful. Just basically black, white and red. No weird fonts, no logos, no symbols, nothing out of plain simplicity. Now, back cover then again of this booklet is more traditional way. If you can, the font is kind of old English type. There is the lineup, then some endorsement logos, and inside we can find the lyrics here. So all in all, very plain and simple design, kind of beautiful. And I don't know about you, but in my opinion, World War II has been kind of a trendy subject. If not so much in black metal, but also there, at least video games have made it kind of a sexy again. It's all about, having this classic world-changing war in popular culture and all that. But in Marduk's case, this is not a new scenario. People still go back to 1999, which was covered here already on Rauta channel a few weeks ago with Panzer Division Marduk, which kinda changed the band's theme towards modern warfare and especially World War II. Tanks, mustard gas, gas masks, obviously. All that stuff were kind of coming from World War I, but they were kind of even more taking this world by storm, when the World War II came and changed the world. German forces, British forces, United States, Russia and so many other countries waged this major conflict, world conflagration, which just changed so many places, people's lives. People got killed by millions and millions and all over. So what a wonderful topic when it comes to black metal. It's all about death. It's about evil in men's souls and beyond, obviously. But Viktoria is not Panzer Division Marduk Part 2, but it kind of taps, the very same vein. I mean, this album is so much pumped full with energy and kind of a sinister force that no other band, in a way, could pull this stunt off except Marduk without sounding boring or repetitive or anything like that. But like I said, this is in many ways going back to the history of Marduk. Now, even prior to Panzer Division Marduk. Marduk was of course creating this violent, fast-paced, fast-tempo black metal with their style of riffs. Kind of a vicious way of creating that music. And back then, of course, the recording technology was quite different. So nowadays albums usually sound a little more produced. The sound is of course more clear and all that stuff, and then there are Pro Tools and whatnot. Now, what was said in the promotional letters with Viktoria, and what can be clearly heard as well when you listen to the actual album, is that the production of the album is quite different. It's kind of a more organic, and in a way it's a more lighter. By lighter, I don't mean some, weak sounds, from guitars and all that stuff, but kind of a more dynamic space, if you will. And by no means that, it doesn't mean that these are the kind of Greek Helen sound, from like old Immortal or Enslaved or anything like that. But the kind of a stuff that Marduk was creating already in the early or mid 90s. So it doesn't feel like that, how to say, Pro Tools in so many ways, but it sounds more like it's breathing, like these layers have air between them, and it sounds like it's almost live recorded. Not quite, because it's so much more better sounding, but I hope you catch the idea. And if you don't, be sure to check out this album when it comes tomorrow. Now, when it comes to the actual songs, this album is really solid Marduk release. There are no weak moments, and even though it kind of gives you the feel that, the first impression that it's all about fast tempo, ass kicking, face punching and all that stuff, there are actually those kind of mid-tempo parts which, give this album nice rhythmic feeling. By rhythmic, I don't mean some weird ass African dancing type of stuff, but I mean it is created in such a way that you don't get the feeling that, okay, it's yet another fast tempo song, I'm gonna skip this one because I know what the rest is gonna be. There are changes which make the whole album more balanced. Now, don't get me wrong, as much as I love Panzer Division Marduk, the problem with that album is that it's kind of a one-trick pony. Viktoria is different breed. There are surely those fast tempo parts and riffs that certainly sound 100% Marduk. But those low tempo or say mid tempo parts are very important to keep this one interesting in different ways. Now, if we go into the details of say single songs here, I could say, song-wise, Viktoria is a little bit weaker album in my opinion than Panzer Division Marduk. But then again, that might be just my favorite of the whole band, so it's kind of hard to compare to that. But in many ways, Viktoria, in my opinion, beats most Marduk albums out there. And I cannot simply put my finger on any single thing that would, define or make this difference. Because I think it's made of these little parts and details here and there. So, kind of to say the cliche, this is more than the sum of its ideas and ingredients as whole. So, very strong album, but not exactly very surprising one. But the kind of old schoolish sound here, the old schoolish sound, what a way to pronounce it, that is kind of something that, actually made me feel good when I was listening to this album. Because by no means this is a letdown in any way. Because it's kind of this is clear Marduk album, but then again a little bit kind of shedding its skin, kind of reinventing itself by going back to the past. And that alone is enough to make this album very worthwhile. Now, for me, it's kind of hard to, to compare all the albums, the whole discography, because it would take, lots of these spins for each album and then comparing, making notes, and that makes absolutely no sense, because this is not a competition. You either like a band or then you don't. You like an album or then you don't. And for me, Marduk is mostly good, but there's some more, say, less interesting albums. More or less interesting. Oh, that makes no sense. What I'm trying to say here is that Viktoria will take its place once enough time has gone. Because now it feels like really fresh. But then again, I haven't been listening to this as much as some previous albums. So it's really hard to, pick the right place in this line or whatever you want to call it. But definitely a strong album with strong compositions, great production and great vocals. Really raspy, squeaky style. Nothing new there exactly, but something that totally fits Marduk like it has done so many times before. So whether you are a Marduk fan and you need to get this, or just somebody who's just stumbled on this band for the first time, this is definitely something you need to listen to. One of the better black metal albums throughout the whole year. I can pretty much guarantee it by now. And already one of the best albums on the first half of the year. So make no mistake. Check out Viktoria and get yourself to the World War II feeling. This is not a letdown album. This is punch your enemy in the face album. Viktoria, thumbs up. And once again, thank you for watching the review, and should you have any comments, opinions, because I'm sure you will, drop them on the box below and enjoy new Marduk. Cheers!